Cuando al fin pensé que había encontrado las respuestas, cambiaron todas mis preguntas. ¿Cómo describirte? ¿Cómo expresar mis sentimientos? ¿Cómo encontrarme en un camino desconocido? Recuerdo la primera vez que te vi. Desde ese día entendí que la vida es incierta y que prefiero que me sorprenda. Tu amor se ha vuelto una luz en mi vida. Tu sonrisa se metió en mi cabeza. Tu forma de bailar me da la tranquilidad que buscaba. Cuando te vi supe que eras para mí. Me enamoré de tu alma. Tú eres mi destino. Y hoy te vas conmigo. Sígueme. Sígueme. Te vas conmigo. Sigue mi camino. Sígueme. Sigue mi camino. Sígueme. Te invito a noches de baile infinito, de risas sin parar. Sigue mi camino. Esta noche, todo lo que hay es el presente. Sigue mi camino. Sigue mi camino. Sigue mi camino. Y nos da igual lo que diga la gente. Sigue mi camino. 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 Siente la música fluir en tu interior. Cada sonido, cada vibración.
All right, GM, everybody. Hope everybody is having a wonderful Wednesday or have already had a wonderful Wednesday, depending on what side of the world you are tuning in from today. As always, great to see some familiar faces in the building. Also, great to see some brand new faces in the building, some brand new teams here with us today. So, really excited to have you guys here and appreciate you joining us on the Gaming on the Edge space here with Ancient 8. For those of you who don't know, my name is Justin, aka Justin the Mind, here on X, and I'm the head of community and part of the business development team here at Ancient 8. For those of you who don't know much about Ancient 8, just a brief intro. We are building an Ethereum gaming layer 2 built on the Optimism superchain. We offer a suite of Web3 gaming infrastructure tools that serve as the distribution and marketing channel for games globally. With Space3.gg, our game publishing platform, Ancient 8 Gaming Guild, Renoverse Web3 Ads Engine, as well as Ancient 8 ID, Gosu Network, our KOL network. And we have helped to onboard thousands and thousands of gamers into Web3 gaming, as well as have worked with well over 100 different game partners here in the space. But enough about us. I'm excited to chat with you guys and learn a little bit more about what you guys are building in this space. And today we're going to be talking about Web3 gaming metas. So, a Q3 update, meaning that we want to hear a Q2, Q1 and Q2 for that matter, update from you guys around some of the gaming metas that you're seeing in the space. What do you think is interesting? What do you think is not so interesting? What do we think might have some legs here going into the second half of the year? We're going to dive deep into all of that. But before we do, let's go ahead and massage the algorithm a little bit by dropping some hearts. Give me a thumbs up. Let's warm things up in here. If you guys are awake, if you're ready to have an exciting talk today, ready to drop some alpha or hear some alpha, let's get some hearts in the chat. Love to see it. Thank you guys so much for doing that. Please don't forget to share this space out into the timeline. Let's get some more of our friends here in the space to come hang with us for this interesting chat. And last but not least, my final request would be to go down into the comment box and just drop a comment down there. It could be a GM. You could drop us a meme. You can tag somebody that should be here hanging with us. Whatever it is, it all helps to juice up this algorithm just a little bit as we get ready to jump into things here. All right. With that being said, I think we're going to go ahead and get into intros now. And it wouldn't be an intro if I didn't start with my main man, the co-host, really, even though I'm on the co-hosting side. My brother behind the Ancient 8 account, Mr. Leo. What's going on, my man? How are you, bro?
Hey, bro, how's it going? Busy day on the Discord side. How about you?
It has been a busy day indeed. We got the leaderboard launched as of last night on space3.gg, our last phase of our
Nice.
main nets, right? So things are pretty loco indeed.
One question for you, bro. How um what do you think Outspace has already which episode has Outspace already been?
Like, which episode are we up to at this point?
Oh yeah, yeah, that's the question. Yeah.
Man, you know what? I have no idea. If I had to guesstimate, I'd say we gotta be like 20 episodes in, maybe. Where are we at?
almost,
Do you know, Leo?
almost correct. Almost. It's 19th, bro. 19th. And do you
19th.
remember?
Let's
Yeah.
go. All right, we got to start
Right?
tracking. I got to start tracking that. Clearly you're tracking it. I need to do a better job of tracking where we are. 19 is pretty sweet though. I had a feeling we were somewhere around the 20s, so that's pretty close.
Yeah, definitely. Bro, back in the day, in Q1 2024, on our very first episode of our weekly space, we actually talked about the Web3 marketing meta of 2024. And do you remember back in the day? Well, like I said, back in the day was like a really long time ago, but actually it's just 5 months ago. Um, Play to airdrop was on trend, right? Nifty Island get us off FOMO. and it took us long enough, 5 months, to actually implement it on our strategy. So yesterday we just launched our play to airdrop campaign, and to this point, I just got a number, an updated number from our dev. 23 hours with 20, more than 20K people actually playing in the airdrop. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy. So today, I guess we're gonna talk about. I want to know more about play to airdrop, how it's going to be in the second half of 2024. A lot of people, a lot of projects also are going to implement play to airdrop on their strategy. From a marketer point of view, it's more, for me. It's like a gamified version of a user manual, and it's going to be definitely oversaturated. So is it going to be on trend later this year? I think that's going to be the main question for today. um yeah, but awesome. Next week we're also going to have our weekly space, right? And we are going to share our learning, our taking on uh actually running this campaign with you guys. So definitely really looking forward to that. Right now I'm going to give the spotlight back to you, bro.
Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, absolutely. We'll be sharing some insights as well from our side in terms of how these metas are playing out as we test them very much in our own community. All right, let's go ahead and get some intros here from the rest of the panel. The first one I see to my right side, I don't know why it's like that. It almost seems like on a weekly basis, X just puts Beast League, which I believe is my man Marcelo, if I'm not mistaken, right up next to me, just on my right hand side. You're my right hand man, Marcelo. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Doing amazing, doing well. I'm cool with being your right hand man, Justin. That sounds good with me. But yeah, I'll do a quick intro. So for those that don't know who I am, this is Marcello or Marcelo, head of community here at Beast League. We're a mobile sports game on iOS and Android Play Store. Yeah, we're currently available in select regions: US, Canada, Brazil, Israel, Ukraine, and now the Philippines. Going to be exploring other APAC regions very soon. Really excited about that. We've got over 100,000 downloads and thousands of active monthly players, but we're really excited as we're going to keep rolling out some more locations and keep expanding this beautiful game that we're building. Speaking of which, we're also expanding our ecosystem with some new games. We're launching Boinkers in a couple weeks. Really excited about that. That's going to be our desktop browser-based basketball game. It's going to be really cool. As I guess I'll drop some really quick alpha. It's going to be really fun as think of it as kind of a parody game where you're going to be able to play with a lot of funny, different, popular characters that we all like to play, that we all love. So think of like Elon Musk playing against Zuckerberg, or like Peter Griffin playing against Homer Simpson. We obviously can't use these names, but we're going to be playing. We're going to have our own spin to it, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, we've also announced our game studio, Acid Games. So we're cooking a lot of cool stuff. We're also gonna have Justin on our space later around my 12 p.m. EST. I know it's Justin's probably like midnight time where he's at, but yeah, we're gonna be up in a couple hours. Travis from Nitro League will also be there, and as well as many other speakers and people that tend to stop by as well. So we're gonna have an awesome show. But thanks for having me, Justin. I'm super happy to be here, as usual, with some other awesome speakers and friends.
Always great to have you here, my brother. Excited to hear about some new games coming to the ecosystem. More basketball games. Bring all the basketball games, bro. I love to hear it, and I love the concept of battling against some of these characters that we know and love from the culture. So that's sick, man. Next, we're going to pass it over to Blue Collar Crypto. How's it going, brother? Welcome, GM.
GM, thanks for having me today. always love the Ancient Eight spaces. When I'm not here speaking, I'm usually down there in the listener box listening in because it's always a great convo, great topics, and you put together some really awesome people. But my name is Travis. I am a business development manager over at Vaynar. We are an EVM based L1 blockchain. We just launched our mainnet last week. I believe we're right about a week, maybe just under 2 weeks now. Yeah, heavily focused on the entertainment space, gaming included, and have a lot of stuff going on with RWAs and as well. So, gonna have a lot of announcements coming out over the next couple of weeks, announcing some more of our validators and so some cool stuff we got going on in the chain. So happy to be here and excited to dive into the Q3 updates on gaming.
Let's go. Travis, always a pleasure to have you here, my man. And that is super exciting. Congrats on the mainnet launch. I think last time you were here, you guys were going into the mainnet launch, I think in the following week. So very cool to have you back now that you guys are out in the space, like officially. Can't wait to hear a little bit more in terms of how that's going and what's cooking and kind of what's coming next for Q3 and moving forward. So we'll jump more into that. In the meantime, want to swing it over to Earth from Another Sun. Who do we have joining us today?
We have Shiv. Once again, I am the head of business development at EFAS. We are an MMORPG looter shooter game building on and backed by Solana for the past 5 years. We've been building and super excited to be here. I love the topic. I think the gaming metas have been changing for the better. So excited to get into it.
Let's go, Shiv. Always a pleasure to have you back as well, my friend. And yeah, can't wait to hear a little bit more about what metas have been cooking up at EFAS and kind of what you guys have planned in the coming future here as well. Next, let's swing things over to Turnup. Who do we have joining us from the Turnup team today?
Hello. Turn up crew over here. Pleasure to be on the space. I love the vibes. The vibes are immaculate. Thank you guys for having us. Turn Up is a decentralized creator network that enables you to gamify your social capital using dual nature assets. This is a brand new digital class which we are introducing. A brand new asset class. And what are DNAs? DNAs merge the liquidity of fungible tokens with the composability and experiences of NFTs. So this offers a brand new, versatile, and engaging asset class. And we actually just launched our DNA asset launcher on Base like 2 weeks ago. So we're really excited about that. Really excited about on-chain somewhere on Base and all of the cool things that are coming along with that. We have a really cool partnership and actually bringing a really well-known IP, Web2 IP into Web3 at the end of this month. I will not be giving out more info about that yet, as I can't say more, but just know it's going to be a really good time.
All right. Well, you got us on the edge of our seat here now. We'll be waiting to hear a little bit more once that news drops. But excited to hear more about what you guys are building. Super interesting stuff. Also love to hear other projects that are on the Optimism super chain building within the Base ecosystem. So that's also awesome, man. So we'll go ahead and pass it over to Infomon. Who do we have joining us from the team today?
GM guys, GM Justin, thank you for having me from on here. You're such an energetic host. Loving the vibe here. My name is Pace. I'm co-founder of Infomon, running the BD and growth part. And then at first sight, so Infomon might look like a Pokemon style social game on Twitter, but it is actually more than that. So every Infomon you catch is actually an AI agent that helps you get a better content feed on Twitter. Let's say you're interested in airdrop, you're an airdrop hunter, then you'll get a feed that is mostly focused around, quality content about airdrops. In the future, Infomons could, probably help you alert scam and also remind you of, maybe like airdrop and token pre-sales. Right now, we're in season 1, and we're holding a free-to-earn competition in which you can mint NFTs for free. And then in the following season, we also have more gameplay. We have PvP, we have social guilding, etc., etc. And we're also building on Base. So if any of you see any opportunities to collaborate, or you want to join me right now, join us right now, feel free to hit me up.
So interesting, Pace. Thank you so much for joining us, by the way, for the first time here. So would really love to have you back again in a future episode as well. But yeah, actually, I dived into Infomon. Maybe it was last week or the week before. Really interested in what you guys are building here, the way that you're, tying in AI, social fi, along with a Pokemon style gameplay as well. This is really, really interesting stuff, and the stuff that really gets me excited about Web3, because there's so much we can do around data here, and gamifying it. So really, really cool stuff. Can't wait to hear a little bit more. Let's go ahead and pass it over to Space Mavericks. Who do we have joining us from the team today?
GM guys, Yunus here, CBDO. I'm happy to be here again. I will try to join these more frequently. And yeah, Space Mavericks. Some of you know it already. I see a lot of familiar faces here. Space Mavericks is basically Angry Birds with guns and spaceships, or worms on steroids. Meaning we take this classic artillery type of aiming and shooting, like that type of game. We take it and innovate it and make it multiplayer, fast-paced, and real-time. So that is essentially Space Mavericks, a very unique game. And we're also working on our open alpha, which is very soon. And right now we have an airdrop campaign running. And I heard some of the projects are building on base. We have a lot of NFTs and assets integrated in our campaign, meaning the holders of for example, a partner token, like their holders get a boost. And we are going to add base for phase 2, by the way. So if there's if there's any NFTs or tokens that you have, we could give your holders a multiplayer in phase 2. So hit us up if you're interested. And yeah, that's from my side.
Always great to have the Space Mavericks team in town. You guys are always hustling all over the space, man. I see you guys everywhere, and really interesting to hear that you guys are going to be integrating with base NFTs. So that's really sick as well. Let's go ahead and pass it over to Mark, and then we'll get over to Sir Choice, and then we'll start things off.
Yo, Justin. Everybody in here has got to agree with me. Nobody has the energy this man has. Love being on any space you're part of. Appreciate you having me up here. Yeah, so a little introduction. Mark, aka King Snooch, content creator in the space and community liaison for Dark Times. Dark fantasy game that's going to be coming out fourth quarter this year. Really, really excited to see that. Thank Diablo cross with Fortnite with financial rewards. And I'll leave my show with that because I want to get into this conversation.
Let's go, my man Mark, aka King Snooch. Also another absolute hustler in this space that you will see all up and down the Telegram chats, all up and down the Twitter's feeds. And my man is always in the spaces doing his thing, adding value always. So appreciate you joining us here. Let's get over to Sir Choice. Is it Sir Choice or Choice? I apologize if I'm
right, Justin.
Oh, it is.
You
Let's
got it
go.
right on
Awesome.
spot.
Let's go.
Yeah, pleasure to be here,
GM.
surrounded by legends. Good morning to all of you. So many familiar faces, brothers, family. Some are on the panel, some are on the audience. Shout out to GRP, to Punshu, to Jorge, to Mr. House, Eric. You guys have done an amazing job building your community at Ancient Age. Like back on my guild, gaming guild, Web3 gaming guild days, I was always looking up to Ancient Age and what you were doing, and to see the way that you have evolved is amazing. Now that you are working on your ETH gaming chain, which is amazing. And I see you, Justin, grinding everywhere too. Like just so many legends around here. I'm here representing Thrust. Thrust Hubs is the native Web3 Discord alternative that on steroids. So we're leveraging the strengths, the Web3 strengths in monetization and on-chain credentials. So we are uniting all of the Web3 stakeholders. We know that there are the value extractors, the degens, the people that is here to green, but we also have some real gamers, a little bit of it all. We're finding ways to make sure that everybody gets what they deserve. And that's about it. And yeah, looking forward to the conversation. I'm not going to take much time, just great energy, great vibes. Looking forward to adding as much value as possible, but humbled down by all of the legends that are in the panel and listening to us. Have a beautiful day, guys.
Appreciate the kind words, brother. We definitely do have some legends down in the audience section with us here today. I appreciate you jumping on here. Can't wait to hear a little bit more what you guys are building at Thrust. And yeah, if you guys can share a little bit more about the metas that you guys have been tapping into, that's the topic of today and what we really look forward to hearing. So let's go ahead and jump straight into it, guys. As usual, for the newbies here, I'll share this. The way we like to do things is I'm going to toss a question out there. If nobody has jumped on that question, feel free to just jump on in there. If somebody has already jumped on, then just go ahead and throw a hand up, and we'll try to go in whatever order possible that we can. So yeah, just keep it free flowing. Let's chat and share your insights, guys. So question one to kick things off, I just want to know, in Q1 or Q2 of this year, now that we're heading into Q3, what were some of the most notable trends or developments that you observed in the Web3 gaming space? Which one surprised you the most and why? Which one really stuck out to you guys in terms of metas? Was it play to airdrop? Was it a different type of meta? What have you guys been seeing? What's standing out there? Anybody want to jump on in here? Go ahead, Sir Choi. Start us off.
Thank you. So yeah, I think that what the intro from Leo was just on point. I believe that play to airdrop has become the thing, and once some strong projects came out of there and set the new trend, a lot of projects were doing or making their best efforts to follow up. I love that it's putting your project out there and bringing a lot of attention, but I think that there is a very very thin line or a delicate spot when it comes to play to airdrop, because you are bringing um, the value structures as well, as I was just mentioning a while ago, and you have to find that to tune or find a balance where you are aware that you got the retention power, because yes, you got their attention, but then what are you going to be doing next to keep those players on your game? Do you have the product ready for them to stay, or you're just going to get them coming, running some fast tasks within the game and then leaving? I believe that game devs need to also make some efforts to challenge their community a little bit more, so that it's not easy for them to grind these play to airdrops, and especially not easy to bot them, because I've seen so many games now that they believe that they had increased their numbers just because they are targeting the amount of active wallets, but it could be just a single guy with plenty of wallets farming all of the value from your project and adding zero to no value. So wanted to bring that take. So yes, I believe that the play to airdrop has been the trend, but I think that it has a big downside and that it has to be used very carefully.
I agree heavily, and it's something that we're experimenting with as well from our side with our own play to airdrop campaign. The way I think about this, if I could just share briefly, coming from a traditional marketing background in Web 2, I worked for a mobile app for a few years and did a lot of user acquisition campaigns on Facebook, Google Ads, a lot of ad spend management. And the way I think about play to airdrop as well is it's kind of similar to traditional user acquisition ad spend, in the sense that you put a lot of dollars out there and a lot of it gets swallowed up in a how would you say, in a way that is not necessarily of high value back to the company. But this is the kind of spend that you need to sacrifice in order to find the user base, the targeted user base, right? And I think the only difference in this meta, or in this case, is that the dollars actually go to users one way or another, rather than just going to one gigantic platform like a Facebook or like a Google. So in that sense, I'm a little bit happier that at least the ad spend that doesn't turn into a user in that case at least does go to somebody that in some form or another did participate in the campaign in some way. Of course, you want to try to avoid Sybil attacks as much as possible, to try to spread that across as many users as possible, to also give your company a chance to really attract as many users as possible. But I do feel a little bit better about that ad spend not just going to one conglomerate and actually being spread across users. And then of course it is really up to the company to build a product that's sticky and that actually maybe people, they came with the intention to just extract, and then they actually ended up finding something that they really enjoyed and liked and decided to stay, right? So definitely there are some positives and negatives with this type of user acquisition, but I think at the end of the day, even in Web2, those positive and negatives still do exist, where some of that marketing spend is just going to be burned just to test. So let's go ahead and swing it over to Earth from Another Sun, then we'll go to Infomon, then to Beast League.
Definitely. I think as important as the development of play to airdrop is also how these airdrop mechanisms are forming. I think a lot of what we've seen in the past few years has made projects and builders start to realize which users should be getting airdrops. I think this year, some of the biggest Web3 projects, which had, for example, Taiko, had one of the most hyped airdrops for like the past 1 or 2 years amongst airdrop farmers. And I know it was like a big disappointment to users. And I think it wasn't the users or the builders' fault. The biggest driver behind it was just that it was such a saturated space where there wasn't an equitable distinction of where value is being inputted. And I think Gamify within Web3 is accounting that in and factoring that in very well. I think questing platforms and I think the forms of airdrop incentivization that is occurring is being done in a much smarter way now. For a quick example, for us at EFAS, our Kepler Citizenship Program Season 2 is live, which is just always accounting in different areas of adding value. It's not just focusing on social engagement or just focusing on another aspect of our community or game, but it's looking at how much time, how much effort, how much value all collectively a user brings in. And I think this is the current trend, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that in Q3 and Q4 across all projects.
Love that you shared that take, Shiv. Thank you so much for that. I agree, man. Like, especially like you said, with questing platforms and even a lot of games building their own internal questing platforms, the amount of data that's being collected at this time for these early stage airdrops is going to be super useful when it comes to later seasons, because we are seeing that now as well. A lot of, a lot of different game ecosystems are doing airdrops seasonally, and each season the data is going to get better, and it's going to allow us to more accurately target the high value users more and more as that time goes. So I'm also really excited about that, because early stage airdrops, it's hard. You're kind of looking at a blank slate. You're not really able to identify as easily who has been a value add in your community. But as time goes, we will be able to summarize that data a little bit more clearly and be able to reward more effectively. And I think that's where things can really get even more interesting for both the company and the players. So really interesting stuff there. Appreciate that take. Let's swing it over to Pace over at Infomon.
So one trend I personally spot is how game projects in this quarter start to leverage social graph and social connections to achieve growth. Because, a lot of game projects are coming up, and then I believe that those projects that could really leverage this growth hack can have an easy access to a larger user base that maybe generate more fun gameplay. So one example I was personally looking at was Fantasy Top. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this project. So basically, they're leveraging they're sort of financializing the influence of content creators on Twitter, and so we're actually very inspired by this in this upcoming game season for Infomon. We're probably going to borrow and develop more, gameplay based on a similar pattern that leverages, if you guys are content creators, especially in the gaming sector, feel free to hit me up. We're probably going to do something more like social guilding. So for example, you can put a boss, like an enemy for other Infomons, for other players to like attack on your profile, and then those who attack those guilds that successfully, those teams that successfully attack the boss on your profile will get tokens or in-game points based on the influence of you. So if you're a content creator, if you're interested, definitely hit me up. So basically, that's the trend we're observing right now in this quarter.
That is super cool, Pace. Definitely, I'll be in your DMs. I want to be attacked by many guilds that want to raid me and beat me up on the timeline. That sounds like a lot of fun. And I'm a big fan of Fantasy Top, though I didn't get to enter into the early season. I got priced out quite quickly, and it became a little bit too risky to jump in there and buy some card packs. But I have noticed that more recently they're adding some more game types, and I think it's causing the price of the cards to go down a bit, making entry points a little bit more possible. So I really can't wait to jump on in there because I'm really fascinated by what they're building, and I'm really fascinated by the gamification within SocialFi. So I really can't wait to jump in and play that game. But yeah, really interested in these type of games that are really financializing social accounts, and even in the gaming space, I've talked about Battle.tech, which is on Avalanche, which is also another similar type of thing where they're gamifying players that play within tournaments, and you can buy shares of a player, and if that player wins in a tournament, you share a little bit of the prize pool. This is also really fascinating for the gaming space, even more particularly. So these are metas I'm really watching closely, and I'm really excited about the way that they're developing, and can't wait to see what you guys are cooking up from your side as well. It's just making social media that much more fun to play. All right, let's go ahead and swing it over to Marcello, and then we'll head over to Mark, and then to Sheertopia, who we'll need an intro from as well.
Let's go. And I just want to excuse myself. I'm next to my AC. We're going through a heat wave here, so I hope you guys could hear me well. I need to cool down. Yeah, so a few metas that come to mind. Okay, beautiful. I see some thumbs up. Thanks, guys. Shout out to Senior Choice, who had mentioned play to airdrop. That's for sure one of the biggest metas I think that we've been seeing. I think that the hype definitely in the beginning was a lot stronger. I still think that the sentiment is there, but I do feel like there hasn't been as much attention around the play to airdrop as recently, but I'm still for it. I think it's a really great way for user acquisition, but definitely, something to be mindful of if we're just giving away tokens. The moment people get their bag, are they going to stick around? So it's really important to kind of find ways to also incentivize or keep people around after they get their airdrop, especially I guess that also goes back to building a fun game and all this stuff, right? You want people to stick around for the actual game as well. But yeah, played airdrop for sure. Another one that I think comes to mind. I don't know if it's a meta, but I don't know what's going on. What's up with Web3 gaming is dead, yo. I don't think it's dead. I think it's really funny that we've been talking about this a lot the last few weeks, but I think it's important. I definitely think it's an important topic. I do think it has been a theme that has been around like longer than just the last week or two, but I think that we've been talking a lot about it, and I just think that the whole idea that Web3 gaming is dead, I think that's a little stupid. Like I get it. Maybe we're going through a small, quiet period, but it's not fucking dead. We're just early guys, games take time to build. The industry is young. It's a baby, So I want to add that piece. Don't know if it's a meta, but definitely it's been the talk of my feed, So that's one of them. And I guess one other thing that came to mind is Ton. I'm seeing a ton of stuff on Ton on Telegram that's been really interesting. All these mini games, we're seeing all kinds of stuff. I'm seeing even more than mini games, even DeFi stuff. I saw a dating app as an application on Telegram, which was really interesting. So that whole ecosystem is very. I'm slowly paying more close attention to that as I think there's a lot going on there. I mean, here's a little bit of alpha. Beast League and Acid Games, the game studio behind Beast League. We're working on something too on Ton. So hopefully in the next few weeks we got something to show everybody. But yeah, some really cool stuff happening there. I'm keeping close attention to Ton and the whole thing going on Telegram. And if you're not, I would definitely keep a close eye because there's a lot of attention there. So yeah, those are a few, I guess, some metas that are coming to mind for me, and some stuff I've been paying attention to.
Yeah, you touched on a couple great metas there, Marcello, including engagement farming meta, which I don't think has ever gone anywhere, and where we're definitely seeing it happening in the space. Everybody's a little bit bored and trying to find ways to activate the timeline. So there's no better way to do that than spread a little bit of FUD and really piss people off with the thing that they spend their livelihood paying attention to, which for everybody in this room is the blockchain and gaming. So, or at least for most of us in this room. So that's a great way to do it. Can't hate the player, hate the game. That's the way the algorithm works. And some of these guys are just playing the game as well, which X very much is a game of its own. So yeah, man. I also love that you touched on the TON network. That is absolutely a growing meta, growing like wildfire. Absolutely. And we actually even have a game as well on Ancient 8 called Pirate Clash, which actually overlays on top of X. But they built a mini game called Pirate Frenzy on TON. And that game is really doing really, really well in the past few weeks. And they're utilizing this game to drive traction back to their core game. So this is another really interesting user acquisition strategy, utilizing the attention that's on these Telegram mini games right now to drive traction back to the main game. So really like teams that are experimenting with that, and really bullish on Pirate Clash doing that as well on the Ancient 8 chain. So I've been playing the game Pirate Frenzy every day, and I'm quite addicted. These little Telegram mini games are super addicting. All right, let's swing it over to Mark. I think we got next. Then we're going to go to Sheertopia, then to Turnup.
Yo. So I don't know if these are going to be considered metas or not, but things that I've noticed big time in the past few months. One of them is games are starting to learn from other games' mistakes, and they're evolving. I think that's really, really important to think about in this space right now. A lot of games are coming out first and they're making mistakes. Well, the other games that are building behind them are learning from them, evolving, and making sure that those same mistakes don't happen. That's very important to take into your mind when you're thinking about, the evolution of Web3 gaming. The second thing I would say is some of these central exchanges are starting to realize vanity metrics don't mean shit. They're starting to realize that all these botted accounts and these numbers that are pumped up don't mean shit compared to generic love in a project. And then the last thing that I would say is these play to airdrops and these farming mechanisms. I think to go back to my first point, I think projects are starting to realize that, yeah, it's great for a short-term number pump, which ties into the second thing, with the vanity metrics for these central exchanges and stuff. They want their numbers to be big so that they can say, oh yeah, we're popular, we're big, our numbers are great. Well, it doesn't help the project long-term. And I think projects are starting to realize that they need to get away from that short-term number pump and look at long-term sustainability and stickiness to players.
Absolutely. Big Mark coming in, swinging the bat. I like that. I think also, speaking of, studying the games before and learning some things from, when it comes to play to airdrop, I think there's a game that doesn't get enough credit, doesn't get its flowers quite enough in this space. And that's, for me anyway, Big Time. And I think Big Time has a fascinating economy, which is very much a play to airdrop economy, but it's an ongoing play to airdrop economy where they didn't sell their token TGE style. They didn't have investors that bought up the token early on that were able to dump after a few months period of time. All tokens that are distributed within the Big Time ecosystem are won by players that are in there grinding the game. And I think that this is a really fascinating way to make the play to airdrop gameplay loop much more sustainable because it's random, it's not guaranteed. You go in there, you grind out a dungeon with your friends, you may get some token drops, you may not. They have a very interesting economy where you need to level up your gear, level up your stats, level things up in order to increase the chance that you even receive any type of token drops from these dungeons. So I think that this is a really great example of how play to airdrop can be sustainable. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. And I think also Big Time is still very early in their game development as well. There's a lot that needs to be fleshed out. But are they on a track that is very positive? I believe so. And I think that this is also something that games can take a look at and really understand how to make a sustainable economy via a token and build a fun game around that economy. So yeah, really bullish on teams that are experimenting. Pixels is another one that's doing a great job of it. Yeah, there's a couple in the space, and like you said, the more mistakes that are made, the more that the next games are going to learn, and over time, we should absolutely find more ways to keep doubling down and making these economies more sustainable and these games better. So yeah, appreciate those takes, Mark. Let's go ahead and swing over to Sheertopia. If we could get a quick intro, who's joining us from the team, and then yeah, would love to get your take on this.
Of course, it's Fun Show here, CEO and founder of Sheertopia. How you doing, Justin?
Doing great, my brother. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You are very welcome. You're very welcome. And I will try to make sure that I'm joining more often. It's been fantastic and really interesting to hear all of these other speakers who are all fantastic in their own right. So if you're in the audience, you should be following them. They are building the future of gaming. And we all need to ensure that we are giving each other support. And thank you to all of you that are in the audience, because without you, our projects are unknown. So basically, just to give you a short overview, Sheertopia is a gaming ecosystem. We have an open world RPG game with multiple mini games that we're working on at the moment. The newest is our parkour update with 3 parkour levels, really fun. There's a weekly giveaway of prizes for people that get the fastest times, and we've got loads of really cool things coming, and you'll see a lot of our partners dotted around Sheertopia as well. In terms of your question, I wanted to kind of flip it slightly to give it more of an understanding from a builder's perspective rather than the end user or the gamer's perspective, because there are things that really jumped out at me. For example, the innovation that we've seen in NFTs. So the standards that have been out there for a while with 721, 721A, and also ERC 1155. The innovation and the capabilities that have come along with ERC 404, I've seen some fantastic things that people are building, and they're actually making the game itself an NFT. And I think that it's a really, really interesting way to look at things. And I think with NFTs, like you were talking about earlier, Justin, the fact that you can upgrade them and keep people in that ecosystem for a longer period of time to incentivize them to interact, carry out quests, etc., is so important to the longevity of these economies that are being built. It's no different for us. We've got 39% of our entire suppliers for the community and for rewards. You can't just unlock that on day one. You've got to make sure you've got a sustainable ecosystem, and it's a very, very important part. The other 2 things I just wanted to touch on very quickly. One of them's AI and Web3 integration. I've seen so many companies start to integrate artificial intelligence because it really does have amazing power to create a much higher level of immersion for gamers. And I've seen so many companies working on this. I think it enhances ecosystems, it improves product development, research, user experience. It's not just about the game, although I've seen people doing that. We're doing it too, where we've got artificial intelligence built into the NPCs themselves, so that you can interact with them in a human-like manner. And we're really excited to bring that in our alpha version, but also virtual environments as well. And there are a number of projects out there doing a fantastic job with that. But I do believe as well that the onboarding's been something that people have spoken about for quite some time now. That seamless onboarding, that social login, that having a lot of this technology hidden in the background for people that don't really understand it, and then educate them as they're going through the game itself. And there are so many different points of view with this and arguments, but I kind of feel like everyone is right in their own right. For example, people that are saying it should be hidden, it should be seamless, and they shouldn't really even know what's going on in the background and they don't need to care about it is one aspect. But then also, we do need to promote what we're here for and what this technology is and how it's advancing and how it's making things better for everybody. So it's trying to find that middle ground. And I feel some projects are doing it really well. And like you said, we're learning from past mistakes. You know, I look at Axie Infinity and their rise and what they did. That was a huge turning point for me, with Facebook turning to Meta and me watching movies like Ready Player One, where I realized this is the future of the way that we're going to interact. We're going to socially spend time together. We're going to watch movies. We're going to play video games. We're going to learn. And it's so exciting for me, but we're still trying to figure it out. And it's going to take some time, but I'm excited for the future.
Absolutely love those takes. So many gems in there, and I couldn't agree more. That middle ground, I think, is the season that we're currently in, and finding out exactly what the users truly care about, what truly turns them on and turns them off in this space. I think there was a moment there in the last bear cycle where we believed that users absolutely hate crypto and they absolutely hate anything that has to do with blockchain. And I think we're realizing now that it's actually not that serious. There's just a little bit of there was a little bit of an education issue, and also there was just really not a lot of quality games to attract users into caring enough, into being interested enough. And now that we're starting to see some good games coming into the cycle, we're starting to see that there is an interest and there is a curiosity around the traditional gamer, as well as just traditional users in general. And I think that we're seeing that people don't really care that much about it being blockchain or not. They just want the user experience to be good. They just want the game experience to be good. And as long as those two things are there, you can get people interested. You can grow a user base in this space. We're definitely seeing that. So yeah, I just think over time we'll continue to see this flesh out even further. But love those takes. Can't wait to jump into Sheertopia. I mean, I'm actually not very familiar with the game, so this is my first time hearing about it. But I love MMORPGs. Really into games that have deep economies. So I'll definitely be doing my homework now that we got you in here with us. All right, let's swing it over to Turnup. What do you got for us?
Yes, sir. Some great takes from everyone. It's really fascinating just being on the space and hearing all those legends and everyone's takes on it. But one thing we've noticed, in Q1 and Q2, is the rise in the meta of user-generated content, UGC. We've seen this, really grow to a whole new level, especially once Pac-Man was introduced and it kind of blew up. And literally, like everyone, their mom and their dog wanted to become a creator. And this is one thing we noticed. So what, so what we decided was, this is kind of like the reason why we are creating the creator network. So basically, we're allowing and empowering everyone to just come on TurnUp. And like Shirtopia was saying, yes, we're trying to, everyone's trying to create the perfect UI and user experience where they don't have to interact with the actual infrastructure behind it and the whole blockchain technology. And it's of course important to really promote why this infrastructure is important, but to keep it kind of hidden so it's not too much of a burden for everyone to use, right? And this is what we're trying to do, where everyone can come on TurnUp, builders, creators. You can launch assets and tokens and DNAs in a matter of seconds. So some people may think this is similar to Pump Fund, but yeah, Pump Fund is all cool and all. You can launch it in a couple of minutes, which you can do the same thing on TurnUp. But on TurnUp, it's let's say Pump Fund is 2D, but then TurnUp is 3D, where you can actually customize each aspect of your token, where the token allocation, the random how random the allocation of each token is based on we're introducing it through card pack. So each card pack will have a different allocation, and depending on how many tokens you get, an NFT will also be auto-generated for you. So this is the kind of the feature of our DNA token, our hybrid token, which combines tokens with NFTs. But where I wanted to get is that, we're empowering creators to launch assets, distribute them, but also create games on TurnUp using our pre-defined templates. So we are empowering, third-party developers from our own community to launch their own games and become creators on their own, and empowering this, creator narrative and meta that we've been seeing over the past couple of months.
I really love that you touched on Pac Moon, because I am actually a Pac Moon validator as well. And it is so fascinating to me. Like I said, I'm really fascinated by SocialFi. I really love the way that they've gamified content creation in the Pac Moon ecosystem, which made me want to, rip out 2K from my wallet to jump in and buy enough Pac Moon to be a validator, just to experiment with this on the front end. And I think we're really just scratching the surface of where this is all headed, and it has really inspired me to be more of a content creator in the space as well, because it's fun to create content within a community that is building towards something together and being creative together. And I think that is there's so much to tap into, especially combining that within the gaming industry. There's unlimited potential for us to really get into there. So I love that you guys are building, essentially the infrastructure that's going to allow that to exist in a lot of other forms. I'm also really interested in the way Infomon is doing this as well. Yeah, guys, this is the stuff that really pumps me up in the space. It's like we're playing games even when we're not playing games. Like Pac Moon is very much a game ecosystem as well, and I think that these things are really what makes Web3 a fascinating industry. We're really finding the ways to gamify all type of interactions in a way that's not really happening in the Web2 space. I'd love to hear from Travis and Varna Chain. How have you guys been implementing any of these metas, or do you plan on implementing any of these metas within your guys' marketing strategy? Tell us a little bit more about what's cooking over on your side.
Yeah, definitely. So, one of the metas that I've really like that's kind of been coming to a lot more fruition that these past couple quarters is the social metrics and the social metas, kind of rewarding people for being a marketing arm for you, for posting, for creating content, for threads, for retweets, whatever that may be. It's something that so many of us do in our communities already, and to be able to reward those. And there's so many of these awesome platforms out now that can kind of tap into the APIs of Twitter and these various social platforms where you can really kind of see the impact. I think it helps from several angles. One, like I said, it rewards the community for actually participating. Two, the project, the game, the chain, the whatever it may be, can get actual real kind of data in a better way. Can kind of see who's making the most impact, see who's getting the most impressions, the most reach, those kind of things. So you can kind of use that to hone in whether you're looking to kind of prop up one of your smaller creators, whether you're looking to lean on one of your larger creators, whatever that may be, and really rewarding people for actually using it. In the past, we saw so many various games and things. It was like, hey, mint our NFT, and then you'll get a token airdrop, in 6 months. And it was, the people get the airdrop, they never opened the game, they never played it, they never did anything, and they just dumped the token. To try to recoup those funds or to double up on that investment. Where a lot more of that kind of play to airdrop now seems to be through actually playing the game. You don't even have to hold the NFT of the game. You don't have to, buy the token. You don't have to do any of that. It's just about actually getting real DAUs, real users into your ecosystem. And I think it's a lot more impactful and it's a lot more powerful, not only for the community, but for the long-term sustainability, because you're creating a real community that way, as opposed to just having a bunch of people that may have invested in something trying to pump their bags for an exit. So that's one thing that I really like, and I see a lot of the industry moving that way with the games, and something that I take a lot of inspiration from and try to keep in mind whenever we're planning our campaigns or rollouts or whatever those may be. Another thing that I really like from like kind of the chain or infrastructure levels is getting away from a lot of the grant grifters, and we still see a lot of it. You still see a lot of the the grants on the chains and stuff like that, which are great. But for so long it was what I call the grant grifters, where you would just go to one chain, you'd milk the liquidity, you'd run through the grant, then you'd go to the next one and do the same thing, and then you'd go to the next one and do the same thing. And we're seeing a lot more of these like kind of infrastructure layers and chains and things of that sort. Really kind of taking their grants or their approach in different ways, creating actual more sustainable solutions or benefits, whether it's helping to open the doors, connecting projects, introducing these games or platforms to tools for something they may be lacking so they don't need to develop themselves, creating deal flows, all these kind of things that are still very impactful and in the long term can probably be a lot better than just saying, hey, here's $50,000, and then you run through it and you're kind of like, okay, what's next? But creating those like more sustainable solutions. So those are kind of some of the different metas that I've been seeing, and I think it's part of this evolving, changing industry. We're all kind of trying to figure out what's the right path, what's the successful path, what works, what doesn't, and all of us in here are kind of laying that groundwork. And when your favorite project makes something that you see is like, oh, that was a giant flop, that was a giant mistake, it's important to realize that like there's not a whole lot of manual created so far on how to do this the proper way or the correct way, and it's so much experimentation. And it doesn't mean that the project is stupid or they were dumb or they should have never done this. It was trying something new, and if it worked, it would have been, great, and no one would have said anything. It doesn't work, so sometimes you catch that FUD. But just keep in your mind that, like, the things that don't work, everyone else is learning from, including the ones launching it. And we don't have that great manual created yet on the proper way to do it, like so many other industries that have been around for decades or longer.
Man, Travis, you are preaching, my brother, and giving us some real talk right now, because there's so much truth to that. And I think it's so important as founders, right, or as founding teams, to just be really straightforward and honest with the community and just say, hey, this is what we were trying. It didn't work the way we quite thought it was going to, but this is how we're going to approach to either fix it or to try to do it better in the next run. It's really just a communication game, and as long as you're really open with your community, in most cases 99% of people will be okay. And as long as they know that you guys are real builders, you're a team of real builders, they'll stick around. And I think that's the magic a lot of the time, is just being able to say, hey, we didn't do that that didn't work out the way we thought it would. But I think teams run into problems when they try to let their ego get in the way and act like they didn't make a mistake and that it was someone else's fault or it was the community's fault. That's where you start to go down a shady type of road. But you touched on so many good things there, and I think one other thing that you touched on that I want to also touch on is the extension as well from play to airdrop into points systems, and utilizing point systems to even further weed out the users that are just trying to extract. Because if you make users have to do something to earn an off-chain point first before they can ever earn an on-chain asset of any kind, and you make them work for that a little bit more, you can definitely weed out the people that are not really long-term invested into where the project is going and the value of what the project is going to be sharing with the community for those who put in the time and the effort. So I'm also really glad to see the points meta getting stronger and more teams utilizing points for seasonal purposes or even for their initial airdrop. to really get a sense of who is just trying to extract and who are real users that are trying to play and trying to participate and really trying to add value back before they extract any type of value as well. And I think that over time, we're going to continue to see that also continue to develop, utilizing the off-chain stuff to then allow users to earn the on-chain stuff. Let's swing it over to Mark, and then I'd love to hear from Space Mavericks before we close things out here.
God, I can't even believe we're already that far into it. That's crazy. I love this conversation. Two things. One, I want to correct you on something. If somebody's just there for extraction, don't call them a user because they're not a user. They're just there to extract. But on another note, I wanted to touch on what he was just talking about with games going with one chain and, you know, taking the grant and moving on to others. Do you think at some point, once we finally get to the point where we have these games that have been out for, you know, 2 or 3 years and they've built the player base and the game is good and it's live and everything's going good, do you think we're going to get to a point where games are just on every chain and they're no longer looking for grants, they're no longer looking for marketing, the game's out, people know about it, and they just end up being on every chain that's out there?
Personally, I think it's going to depend a lot game to game. You know, like when I look at a chain, I really just look at it as like infrastructure level. Like I don't think chain's going to matter at all whenever like Web3 gaming is actually like market fit, market adopted. You know, it's something that no one's going to care or look at, except for maybe some of those early investors or like people who like are like a certain type of chain maxi or something like that. But that's going to be like a super small majority. So I think it's really going to be like an infrastructure thing. If a game has like, you know, a need that, hey, Polygon fills this need, and on this other angle we're doing on our game, you know, Vayner fills that need, and then, you know, with what we're doing here, you know, on this angle, but it's just like creating that seamless experience. So like when the user comes in, they don't know they're like using one chain or 10 chains or, you know, some type of, you know, layer 0 or bridges or whatever it may be. It's just creating that like seamless UI UX experience so that your tech stack or your kind of infrastructure layer is, you know, optimal, while at the same time, you know, the user experience is optimal by not understanding or needing to know about it. So like if there's one chain out there that can solve, and like that's great. Where we're at right now in the market though, it's so heavy with like communities of a chain are usually the ones like building and pushing it up, that I think that like right now it's a lot of multi-chain to try to, you know, almost as a marketing angle in a lot of ways, where once we get to a point like where like Web3 gaming is normal gaming conversation that we have about all other traditional games, you know, that chain talk's going to go completely out the window, except for like in these like developer discussions and those kind of things, and it's just going to be like gaming.
Thanks. That answers it pretty well. Absolutely freaking love it, dude. And Web3 gaming is inevitable. Everything is coming together. And I think by the end of this year, people are going to stop with this whole gaming. Web3 gaming is dead. And they're going to see some of these awesome games that have been building for the past 4 years finally getting out there and being playable.
Love these takes, really love these takes. But the only thing I worry about is if games are across all chains, then we'll lose the term grant grifter. And I really like it so much because it's my first time ever hearing it today. And it's an absolutely phenomenal name. But yeah, no, I mean, even ourselves at
Don't think we lose it though, because you're still going to have new games that come out. And those new games are going to be looking for that.
well, we got a name to identify them for sure. And we very much look for this even within the Ancient A ecosystem. We have a lot of the times teams reach out. And it's so clear that they have already grifted other chains and left not much value in their wake. And now they're looking to come do the same on our chain. So it is definitely something that we have to be mindful of, because users, or as Mark would say, non-users, are not the only grifters. There definitely are also companies out here that will absolutely extract without adding much value. So we got to be on the lookout for that as well. But that's what, you know, we do spaces like this for, networking within, you know, within the industry, hearing what you guys are dealing with, and also what you're seeing. It really helps us to get insights, and then we try to share those insights as well, pass them over to you guys, and that's really, I feel, how we continue to build this space in a very powerful way. So love these chats. They're super important. I'd love to hear from Space Mavericks. If you want to go ahead and close us out on your thoughts behind the Web3 gaming metas, what do you guys focus on within your ecosystem? What are you paying most attention to right now?
Yeah, I want to add to the whole grant situation from the eyes of a game that was bootstrapped for 90% of the time. Like we just got our big funding just recently and are not anymore that bootstrapped. And like there are a lot of games and a lot of teams that are really focusing and are relying on grants, but we have, or like what I would say is, it like you cannot really get a lot from a grant itself. Like you need to either have the time, like if you're in the studio, you still need to commit and spend a lot of your time, or you really need like funding on its own. Like grant itself will not really make that big of a difference. That's what we have been seeing, and this is also why we didn't really go with like a chain, like with a let's say an unknown chain for a grant. So what we have done is right now, especially for the adult campaign, for the sake of conveniency, we have we have launched it on Polygon because everyone knows Polygon, and it was the easy choice now, and with the scale of it as well. And for the alpha itself, we are working with Immutable, Immutable ZK EVM, and are also open for other chains as well. So this whole only one chain thing, we don't think it's the future, but right now it's important that you are kind of focusing on one chain, because from that chain, even if it's not a grant, for example, like I'm going to give an example with Ronin, because Ronin is not permissionless. And if you get onto Ronin, like if you as a game, you are launching on Ronin, you can be assured that you have your base audience and base players and base marketing efforts already been done for you, because the support is there. So there's different kind of things, and it depends on what you are looking for. Are you looking for a very closed, very like tight ecosystem like Ronin, or are you looking for the freedom you have with Polygon? And that's my take on it.
Very, very fair take on that side, coming from a game builder's perspective, and totally respect that. I know for sure. I think every chain loves to see scrappy teams that have done a lot before even seeking out grants or even seeking out investment. They've kind of shown what the team is capable of early on. Man, those are the teams that most chains would be willing to take a shot on. So love that you guys approached it that way. And I think for us as well, Ancient 8, we started out as a gaming guild. We didn't raise as a chain. So we don't have necessarily the type of liquidity that a lot of these big dogs like a Polygon or a Ronin have to, throw at games to get games to commit solely to build on chain. But I think the way that we look to make up for that is by co-building with games, where we don't want to just offer money and and a little bit of our opinions on what you guys are building, but rather we get down and dirty and bring the game to market along with the founders of the game studios that are building on our chain. And we think that being that type of scrappy as a chain is what's also going to allow us to attract some partners to come build alongside us. And I think that this means a lot to especially smaller game studios. They really want the chain to be behind them and believe in what they're doing and really build alongside them and utilize the resources to the max capacity. Let's swing it over to Travis, and then we'll go ahead and close things out for the night.
Yeah, I know we're running tight on time, so I'll keep it short. But I was just gonna say, like what you were saying right there, I think that's so much more valuable in so many ways from a grant, because it gives that sustainable like growth. Like if you give me $50,000, I'm gonna run through that in like 3 months, and I still don't have those connections. I still don't know, a good way to come to market, a great TGE, the marketing or the KOLs or the exposure or whatever that may be. Where when you're offering the other side of it, like you were talking about, and you get all those tools, it can be so much more impactful than, just, hey, here's 50 grand that you're going to burn through. And then you're still sitting in the same position that you were, because, though the other side of it is not easy to come by. Money, and it sounds weird, money can be a lot easier to come by than the actual connections and the actual support in this space. So, but yeah, just wanted to say that to wrap up. An awesome space again, Justin. Love Ancient Age spaces and what you guys are doing. Always great topics, always great discussions.
Oh man, I appreciate that, brother. And you guys make it that way, man. Like we've had phenomenal guests week in and week out, where we're super, super lucky to be working with the ex co-host team. So shout out to ex co-hosts. They always have a phenomenal group of speakers in their network. So man, working with those guys has made our job a lot easier to have some awesome spaces, because there's so many high quality people in that network that's coming to chat on a week to week basis. But with that being said, we'd love to have you guys back. So definitely expect, for those of you who aren't already in our Telegram group, expect a message from our co-host Leo. He will shoot you guys an invite to our Telegram, where we post the space link every week, and we have some chats from time to time in there as well. We implore you guys to network in there, share what you're building in there, share your updates, all the things. And we'd love to have you guys in there and have you guys back on a future space. With that being said, we didn't get a chance to dive into the alphas tonight because the chat was just too good. So we went over on time. But I look forward to catching up with you guys next week, and we'll be on the lookout for some more alphas on the timeline for what you guys have cooking up in the week to come. I hope you guys all have an amazing day, an amazing evening, wherever you're tuning in from, and we'll catch you all next week. Take care, everybody.
I